The marble halls of the Galactic Council station echoed with the sound of rushed footsteps. James Wright, Earth's ambassador, walked quickly through the corridor, his face showing no emotion even though his heart was racing. The message he had received just moments ago made his blood run cold. Another human colony had been attacked, but this time it was different. This time, they had gone too far. The colony on New Hope had been home to one of humanity's largest medical research facilities. The scientists there had been working on cures for diseases that affected all species in the galaxy. They weren't making weapons. They weren't building ships. They were trying to save lives. All lives, not just human ones. Now more than 3,000 researchers, doctors, and their families were dead. Wright entered the council chamber, where representatives of 200 alien species sat in rising tiers of seats that reached toward the distant ceiling. The room fell quiet as he walked to the speaker's platform. Most of them expected another pointless human complaint, delivered with the usual patience and restraint that Earth had become known for. Members of the council, Wright began, his voice steady but carrying an edge that made several representatives sit up straighter. 6 hours ago, the Dominion attacked our research colony on New Hope. They didn't just destroy our facilities this time. They made sure no one survived. Murmurs filled the chamber. The Dominion's representative, a tall figure with gray skin, stood up. "These are serious accusations, Ambassador Wright. Where is your proof? The Dominion has always maintained that we act only in self-defense against human aggression." Wright touched his tablet, and horrible images appeared on the chamber's main screen. Burning buildings, dead bodies in white lab coats, children's toys scattered among the ruins. The attackers left their ships' energy signatures all over the colony. "They'd wanted us to know it was them," Wright said. "The facility was working on cures for the breaking fever, the same disease that's currently spreading through Dominion space." More whispers spread through the chamber. The council president, an ancient being with 4 arms and crystalline skin, raised a hand for silence. "Ambassador Wright, while these images are disturbing, we need time to verify their authenticity. The council cannot act without proper investigation." Wright's fingers gripped the edges of the platform. For 30 years, he had stood in this chamber. For 30 years, he had asked for justice, while watching the council dismiss every human complaint with calls for proper investigation that never went anywhere. 3,242 people, Wright said quietly. "That's how many died today. They weren't soldiers. They weren't threats. They were doctors, researchers, children." He looked up at the council president. "How many more investigations do you need? How many more dead humans will it take before this council acts?" "The council understands your distress," the president said in that same calm, diplomatic tone that Wright had heard 1,000 times before. "But we must follow proper procedures. We will form a committee to look into this incident." Wright stood there for a long moment. In his ear, his neural link buzzed with an incoming message from Earth Command. He read it without changing his expression, but something inside him grew cold and hard. "Very well," he said finally. "Form your committee. Start your investigation. Earth will wait for your findings." He turned to leave, then stopped and looked back at the gathered representatives. "But know this, we have been patient. We have followed your rules. We have trusted in this council's wisdom. And what has it gotten us? Dead colonies, dead children, dead hope." The chamber had gone completely silent. "Humanity's patience isn't infinite," Wright continued, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. "Remember that when your committees meet. Remember that when you write your reports. Remember that when you decide, once again, that there isn't enough evidence." He walked out of the chamber without another word, leaving behind a silence heavy with unspoken threats. As the door closed behind him, Wright touched his neural link. "Command, this is Ambassador Wright," he said quietly. "Implement Protocol Omega. The Council has failed us for the last time." In distant parts of human space, hidden shipyards began powering up. Secret bases deep underground stirred to life. and in laboratories across 100 worlds, projects that had been kept hidden from alien eyes were finally unveiled. Humanity had been patient. Humanity had been peaceful. But now, humanity had finally run out of patience. The galaxy would remember this day. They would remember it as the day they learned why you should never mistake patience for weakness. Deep within an asteroid base in the Outer Rim, Admiral Kate Thompson stood before a massive holographic display. Red dots marked known Dominion positions across the galaxy, while blue markers showed human worlds. She watched as thousands of hidden resource markers suddenly appeared on the map, blinking into existence like stars appearing at dusk. Project Phoenix is now active across all sectors, her AI assistant reported. Hidden fleets are powering up. All sleeper cells report ready status. For 20 years, humanity had been building in secret, while their official shipyards produced simple trading vessels and basic defense ships. Massive underground facilities had been crafting something very different. Every time the aliens had attacked a human colony, more resources had been diverted to the hidden war machine. Begin Phase 1, Kate ordered. Wake up the ghost fleets. In the depths of gas giants, in the hearts of dead moons, and in the shadows of dark nebulae, ships began to stir. They were nothing like the clumsy vessels humanity showed to the galaxy. These were predators, built with every scrap of knowledge and technology humans had kept hidden from alien eyes. A young officer rushed into the command center. Admiral, the last diplomatic personnel have been evacuated from alien worlds. Ambassador Wright's ship just jumped to safety. Kate nodded. They wouldn't leave anyone behind to be taken hostage. What's the status of the quantum defense grid? Online and ready, the officer replied. The aliens still think our shields are basic particle screens. They have no idea about the quantum layer. Humanity had learned early to keep their best technology secret. While showing primitive versions to the galaxy, they had developed weapons and defenses that no one would expect. The powered armor suits that could make a single soldier worth a platoon. The AI networks that could outthink any alien battle computer. The stealth systems that could hide entire fleets. Ma'am, another officer called out. We're picking up Dominion fleet movements. They're gathering for another attack run. Looks like they're targeting the Anderson colony this time. Kate allowed herself a small smile. The Anderson colony was exactly where they wanted the Dominion to strike. Send the order to Captain Lee. Spring the trap. The Dominion attack fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Anderson colony, expecting to find another helpless human settlement. Instead, they found themselves surrounded by ships that seemed to appear from nowhere, emerging from perfect stealth. All ships, weapons free, Kate ordered. Show them what humanity has been hiding. The battle was brief and brutal. Quantum torpedoes phased through Dominion shields as if they weren't there. Human fighters moved with impossible speed and precision, guided by AIs that had been practicing this battle in simulation for years. When the last Dominion ship tried to flee, it found its engines disrupted by technologies they had never seen before. Dominion fleet destroyed, the AI reported. No survivors. No distress calls got out. Kate watched the tactical display update. Across human space, similar scenes were playing out. Hidden fleets striking from nowhere. Defensive systems revealing their true power. The careful plans of 20 years of preparation, all moving like clockwork. Send word to Earth Command, she ordered. Phase 1 is complete. Ready to begin Phase 2. The young officer looked up from his station. Admiral, we're picking up confusion in alien communications. The Dominion is trying to figure out what happened to their attack fleet. The other species are starting to notice something's wrong. Let them wonder, Kate said. Let them worry. For years, they watched us get attacked and did nothing. Now they can watch us strike back and do nothing. She turned to face her crew, all of them wearing the same determined expression. They had trained for this in secret, preparing for the day when humanity would finally show its true strength. Send this message to all human forces, Kate ordered. The time for patience is over. The time for hiding is done. Execute all planned strikes. Show the galaxy why they should have helped us when we asked nicely. Across the stars, humanity's hidden strength was revealing itself. The patient species that everyone had dismissed as weak was showing its teeth, and the galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson about judging by appearances. For the first time in 20 years, Kate felt the weight of pretending to be weak lift from her shoulders. Now, at last, they could show their true power. And the galaxy would never forget the day when humanity's patience finally ran out. In the grand observation chamber of the Dominion High Command, panic was spreading. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy, each worse than the last. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were winning, and winning with technology that shouldn't exist. The High Commander slammed his fist on the table. How is this possible? Their ships were primitive. Their weapons were basic. We've been attacking them for years. His intelligence chief, sweating under the harsh lights, tried to explain. Sir, they fooled us. They fooled everyone. Those trading ships, those simple colonies, they were all a front. Look at these readings from the Anderson colony battle. The display showed impossible numbers, weapon signatures that made no sense, stealth systems that bent the laws of physics, ships appearing from nowhere and vanishing just as quickly. Sir, a junior officer interrupted, we've lost contact with our border stations, all of them. At the same time, in another part of the galaxy, the council was in emergency session. The massive chamber that usually hosted careful debates was now filled with shouting and accusations. Species that had ignored human complaints for years were suddenly very interested in what humanity was doing. Tom Miller, a human data analyst who had worked for the council for 15 years, stood in a side chamber watching the chaos. He had tried to warn them. For years, he had filed reports about strange patterns in human space, unusual energy readings, missing resources, shipments that didn't add up. You knew, didn't you? Asked a council member who had cornered him in the hallway. You knew what they were building. Tom smiled slightly. I tried to tell you. Filed 342 reports. Each one detailed exactly what humanity might be doing. Each one was marked low priority and ignored. The council member's skin changed color in distress. But your people seemed so peaceful, so willing to talk. We were peaceful, Tom said. We wanted to be peaceful. We asked for help, for justice, for protection. The council chose not to listen. Now you get to see what humanity looks like when we stop being peaceful. Across the galaxy, other species were scrambling to choose sides. The humans had been attacked for years. Everyone knew that. Many had quietly disapproved of the Dominion's actions, but hadn't wanted to risk getting involved. Now those same species were sending urgent messages to Earth, trying to establish their friendship. But Earth wasn't answering calls anymore. In a hidden command center, Tom's old friend Bill watched the diplomatic channels flood with messages, pleas for meetings, offers of alliance, promises of support. Bit late for that, he muttered, marking each message as received but not acknowledged. Humanity had asked for friends before. Now they didn't need them. A flash of light on his screen caught his attention. The Dominion was gathering a massive fleet, calling in ships from every corner of their space. They thought numbers would save them. Bill sent a short message to Admiral Thompson. They're taking the bait. The trap had been laid carefully. The humans knew the Dominion would gather their forces once they realized the danger. Knew they would try to overwhelm the human fleets with sheer numbers. That's exactly what humanity wanted them to do. In the darkness of space, human stealth ships watched the Dominion fleet gather. Their new weapons were powered up, but waiting. Their advanced AIs calculated perfect firing solutions. The soldiers in their powered armor suits waited in their dropships, ready to show what a human could really do in a fight. The Dominion thought they were preparing a counterattack. Instead, they were gathering their forces in one place, making humanity's job easier. Bill sent one final message before the battle would begin. Remembered New Hope. Throughout human space, those words appeared on every screen, in every ship, in every base. Remember New Hope. Remember the colony of doctors and researchers who died trying to save lives. Remember why humanity's patience finally broke. The galaxy had thought humans weak because they chose peace. Now they would learn that humans had never been weak. They had just been patient, and that patience had finally run out. The vast emptiness of space lit up with fire as the Dominion fleet faced humanity's forces. 10,000 alien ships hung in the darkness, their weapons charged and ready. They outnumbered the visible human fleet 5-1. The Dominion High Commander felt confident as he watched from his flagship's bridge. That confidence lasted exactly 8 seconds. The first sign that something was wrong came when half of his sensor arrays suddenly went dark. The second sign was when human ships began appearing out of nowhere, their stealth systems dropping just long enough to fire. Impossible. The High Commander shouted as the tactical display turned into chaos. There can't be that many of them. But there were. For every human ship they could see, 3 more lurked in perfect stealth. Quantum torpedoes phased through the strongest Dominion shields. Energy beams that shouldn't exist carved through battle-hardened hulls. On the human flagship, Admiral Thompson watched the battle unfold. "Launch the dropships," she ordered. "Show them what our ground forces can do." Sleek black vessels shot out from the human fleet. The Dominion commanders laughed when they saw their size. Each dropship seemed to hold only a handful of soldiers. Surely these couldn't be a threat to their mighty warships. They stopped laughing when the first dropship cut through their strongest hull like paper. They stopped breathing when they saw what came out. Humans in powered armor suits stepped into space itself. Their armor shrugged off vacuum and radiation alike. Each suit was a masterpiece of engineering that humanity had kept hidden for years. Where Dominion soldiers needed full squads to fight, a single human in powered armor was an army. "This is Strike Team Alpha," a voice reported over the command channel. "We're inside their flagship. Their internal defenses, they're like toys compared to our training sims." The High Commander's own guards reported the same thing. Their weapons barely scratched the human armor. Their barriers meant nothing against human weapons. And worst of all, the humans were being careful, precise, almost surgical in their attack. "Surrender," came the message from the human fleet. "Surrender and live. We're not like you. We don't kill helpless enemies." But the High Commander had spent too many years believing in Dominion superiority. He couldn't accept that the humans, the weak, peaceful humans, had fooled them so completely. "Launch all fighters," he ordered. "Concentrate fire on their command ship. Show these humans what real power looks like." Admiral Thompson watched the Dominion fighters approach. Thousands of them, like angry insects swarming toward her ship. She didn't give any orders. She didn't have to. The space around her ship flickered. Point defense systems that made Dominion technology look primitive opened up. Each shot found its target. Each target disappeared. It wasn't a battle. It was target practice. "Signal from Strike Team Alpha," an officer reported. "They've reached the flagship's bridge." On the Dominion flagship, the High Commander turned as his bridge doors exploded inward. 3 humans in powered armor stepped through, their armor not even scratched by the ship's best defenses. "Dominion High Commander," one of them said, voice calm and clear through the suit's speakers. "Your fleet is in ruins. Your defenses have failed. Surrender now." The High Commander looked at his tactical display. Half his fleet was gone. The other half was being systematically taken apart by weapons he couldn't understand. The humans weren't just winning. They were doing it with terrifying efficiency. "How?" he asked as he raised his hands. "How did you hide all this?" The human soldier's answer was simple. "We learned from you. Every time you attacked us, we studied your weapons. Every time you killed our people, we got stronger. We just had the patience to wait until we were ready." Throughout the battlefield, Dominion ships were powering down their weapons. The mighty fleet that had terrorized human space for so many years was surrendering to the very people they had dismissed as weak. Admiral Thompson sent a final message to Earth. Phase 1 complete. The Dominion fleet is neutralized. Minimal casualties on our side. Moving to Phase 2. The galaxy was about to learn that this was just the beginning. Humanity hadn't just been preparing to defeat the Dominion. They had been preparing to change everything. 3 days after the Great Battle, Earth's fleets moved through Dominion space like a perfectly coordinated dance. Each ship knew its role. Each soldier understood their part. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as world after world fell to human forces. But it wasn't the violence that shocked them most. It was the mercy. On the Dominion agricultural world of Green Vale, farmers watched human ships descend from the sky. They expected fire and death. Instead, a voice boomed across their settlements. Your world is now under Earth protection. Continue your work. No harm will come to civilians. Admiral Thompson stood on her flagship's bridge, watching reports come in from across Dominion space. Status update, she ordered. 23 worlds secured, her AI reported. No civilian casualties. Minimal military losses. The Dominion's remaining forces are retreating to their core worlds. A message flashed on her screen. The Council was trying to call an emergency session. Again, they had been trying to contact Earth's representatives for days. They wanted to negotiate, to mediate, to restore peace. Thompson smiled slightly. Send them the same response as before. Earth will speak when it's ready, not before. On the Dominion throne world, panic spread through the streets as news arrived. Not news of destruction. That would have been easier to understand. Instead, tales came of human ships protecting civilian transports, of Earth soldiers helping evacuate damaged stations, of medical aid being given to defeated enemies. They're making us look like the monsters, a Dominion Council member whispered in their emergency bunker. All these years we called them primitive, and they're showing more civilization than we did. The humans hadn't just been hiding their technology. They had been hiding their true nature. The galaxy had mistaken patience for weakness, restraint for fear. Now they were learning the truth, and it terrified them more than any weapon could. On a captured Dominion station, Bill watched the data feeds with growing satisfaction. Admiral, he called over the secure channel, we're seeing something interesting. Other species are withdrawing their support from the Dominion. They're trying to distance themselves from what happened. Of course they are, Thompson replied. Nobody wants to be on the losing side, especially when the winners are proving to be better rulers than their old allies. A light flashed on Bill's console, priority message from one of their advanced teams. He read it quickly, then smiled. Ma'am, you're going to want to see this. We found their secret research base, the one where they developed the weapons they used on New Hope. Thompson's voice turned cold. Deploy Strike Team Delta. I want that base taken intact. Everything inside is now Earth property. The strike team hit the base an hour later. Their powered armor suits cut through security like it wasn't there. Inside, they found something that made even veteran soldiers pause. Admiral, the team leader reported, they weren't just developing weapons here. They were developing cures too. They had the cure for breaking fever all along. They let their own people die just to have an excuse to attack our medical station. Thompson's response was immediate. Download everything. Once we have the data, I want that cure synthesized and distributed to every world affected by the fever. Dominion worlds first. The galaxy watched in confused awe as human ships began visiting plague-stricken worlds. They delivered medicine, not bombs. They brought hope, not destruction. It was a kind of warfare no one had expected, the kind that made the enemy look like villains by simply showing a better way. In the Galactic Council chamber, now half empty as species withdrew their representatives in fear, the President received a message that made his crystalline skin pale. Humanity, he read aloud to the remaining Council members, will accept the Council's surrender and new terms at a time of our choosing. Until then, watch and learn. This is how a civilized species fights a war. The message was signed simply, Admiral Thompson, Earth Defense Fleet. In the depths of space, human ships continued their advance. They weren't just winning a war. They were changing how the galaxy understood warfare itself. And behind every merciful act, behind every show of restraint, was an unstated reminder. This is what we chose to do. Imagine what we could do if we chose differently. On the Dominion homeworld of Prima, the streets were filled with protesters. Not humans, their own people. The truth about New Hope had spread across the galaxy, carried by countless channels and broadcasts. The people had learned how their leaders had hidden the cure for breaking fever, how they had attacked doctors trying to save lives. In the great halls of the Dominion Leadership Palace, guards watched the crowds grow larger every hour. Their finest weapons felt useless now. They had seen the videos of what human-powered armor could do. If Earth decided to attack, no amount of security would stop them. The Dominion War Council met in their deepest bunker, 3 miles beneath the surface. They thought they were safe there. They weren't. "My leaders," a voice echoed through their secret chamber. Everyone froze. It was impossible for anyone to broadcast in here. "This is Admiral Thompson of the Earth Defense Fleet. Yes, we can reach you even there." On their screens, tactical displays showed human ships appearing in perfect formation around their world. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. "You have 1 hour to surrender," Thompson's voice continued. "We have disabled your planetary shields. Your fleet is destroyed or captured. Your allies have abandoned you, but we are not like you. We do not kill helpless enemies." The War Council leader slammed his fist on the table. "We still have the doomsday weapons. We can still destroy everything." A new voice joined the broadcast. It was Bill, and they could hear him smiling. "You mean these weapons?" Camera feeds showed their secret weapon facilities. Human soldiers were already inside them all. "We took those 3 days ago. Did you really think we'd let you keep them?" In orbit, Admiral Thompson watched the chaos spread through the Dominion leadership. Her fleet hung in the sky like a promise or a threat. Everything humanity had built in secret, every weapon they had hidden, every soldier they had trained, was now on display. "Admiral," her eye reported, "we're detecting massive unrest in their military. Multiple unit commanders are refusing orders. Some are actively turning against the leadership." Thompson nodded. This was what they had expected. This was why they had broadcast the truth about New Hope to every corner of the galaxy. Why they had shown mercy to civilians and defeated soldiers. The Dominion wasn't being destroyed by Earth's weapons. It was falling apart from within. "Signal from the bunker," an officer called out. "The War Council is fighting among themselves. Some want to surrender. Others are trying to reach their personal escape ships." Thompson's voice was cold. "Show them why that's not an option." Across the Dominion homeworld, every screen, every computer, every communication device lit up with the same message. It showed the location of every escape ship, every secret bunker, every hidden route. Along with it was proof of corruption, of hidden wealth, of lies told to their own people. "You see," Thompson broadcast to the planet, "we didn't just study your weapons. We studied you. Every secret, every lie, every hidden truth. Surrender, and your people will be treated fairly. Continue to resist, and we will share everything we know." In the bunker, the War Council watched their world collapse around them. Not through violence, but through truth. Their own people were storming government buildings. Military units were declaring loyalty to their people, not their leaders. "How?" the council leader whispered. "How did you do all this?" The answer came from their own intelligence chief, who had been silent until now. He stood up, removed his insignia, and spoke quietly. "They were patient. All those years we thought they were weak. They were watching, learning, planning. We taught them everything about ourselves while learning nothing about them." Above the planet, Thompson received the first surrender messages, not from the bunker, from military commanders, from planetary governors, from the people themselves. "Send word to Earth. she ordered. Phase 6 complete. The Dominion leadership is isolated. Their people have chosen a better way. The war wasn't over, but the end was now certain. Humanity hadn't just defeated the Dominion. They had done it in a way that would change the galaxy forever. They had showed everyone a different way to win. 6 months after the fall of the Dominion homeworld, Ambassador James Wright walked into the Galactic Council chamber again. This time, the room was different. The old rising tiers of seats had been replaced by a circular arrangement where all species sat at the same level. No one was higher than anyone else anymore. The council president's crystalline form caught the light as he spoke. Humanity has changed everything. We admit our failures. We ignored your warnings. We allowed injustice to continue. Now we ask, what would you have us do? Wright looked around the chamber. Representatives from 200 species watched him, waiting. They had all seen what humanity could do. They had watched Earth's forces tear through the mightiest military in the galaxy like paper. But more importantly, they had seen what humanity chose not to do. We want what we always wanted, Wright said simply. Justice, fairness, peace, the strong protecting the weak, not preying on them. We hid our strength not because we had to, but because we wanted to give peace every chance. On screens across the galaxy, people of all species watched the council session. They saw the human fleet still in orbit around the former Dominion capital, not as conquerors but as peacekeepers. They saw Earth's medical ships bringing cures to worlds the Dominion had left to suffer. They saw human technology being shared with those who needed it most. Admiral Thompson stood on her flagship's bridge, watching the council broadcast. Beside her, Bill worked at his console, monitoring the massive changes spreading across known space. The Dominion's secret accounts have been found, he reported. Wealth stolen from 100 worlds. We're returning it all, with interest. Thompson nodded. And the breaking fever. The cure has reached every affected world. Death rates are dropping to 0. The Dominion leadership's own records prove they had it all along. Their people, he paused, checking the data, their people are asking for a complete change of government. They want to rebuild as something better. In the council chamber, Wright continued speaking. Earth will help establish new laws. Real laws with real enforcement. No more empty committees. No more ignored reports. When someone asks for help, they will receive it. A representative from a smaller species stood up. And if we refuse these changes, Wright smiled slightly. We won't force anyone. But remember, we showed you only a fraction of what we can do. Those who choose to live by the old rules, who think they can prey on the weak. He let the silence stretch. Well, humanity's patience isn't infinite. The galaxy has seen what happens when it runs out. The message was clear. Earth would protect peace with overwhelming force if needed. The galaxy had learned that humans were not weak. They had simply chosen to be kind. And if that kindness was rejected, there were other options. Back on the flagship, Thompson received a final report from her eye. All Dominion leadership members are in custody. Their trials will be public, broadcast to every world. All evidence will be shown. The truth will be known. Good, Thompson said. And the new defense network? Online and operational, Bill answered. Any world that signs the new peace accords gets protection from the quantum shield grid. Nearly every species is signing up. Turns out nobody wants to be on the wrong side of human technology anymore. In the council chamber, the voting was unanimous. The new laws would take effect immediately. Earth would lead the implementation, but every species would have a voice. It was the future humanity had wanted all along. They had just needed the strength to make it happen. As Wright left the chamber, he passed Tom Miller, the analyst who had tried to warn the council years ago. Enjoying your new job? Wright asked. Tom smiled. He now led the new Galactic Intelligence Service, making sure no one could hide attacks or injustice again. It's amazing what you can get done when people actually listen to your reports. Across the stars, humanity's message was clear. They had never wanted war. They had never wanted power. They had wanted justice, and they had built the strength to ensure it. The galaxy would remember this not as a conquest, but as the beginning of something better. The day humanity's patience ran out had become the day the galaxy finally learned a better way forward. And if anyone ever forgot that lesson, the human fleets still patrolling the stars would be happy to remind them.